To discuss this further, joining us now live from Cleveland, Ohio, is Jason Johnson, a political science professor at Hiram College. Professor, has realism set in then on the president's lofty campaign goals?
I think realism set in about 4 or 5 months ago when people realized that many of his most aggressive plans were not really going to come to fruition. Maybe not this year and maybe not ever. It seems right now that Barack Obama, initially he might have been pragmatic, but now he's just sort of scrambling. His health care plan didn't work. Copenhagen hasn't resulted in anything that most Americans really care about. I think he's on trouble on 2 major fronts in his first year in office.
What is the problem? What do you think has happened? Is it that the goals were too ambitious, or is this what many have often referred to as the Washington political machine kind of dampening ambitious new ideas? What do you think's gone wrong?
I think it's a mixture of both. Barack Obama managed to convince the rest of the country, and if not the rest of the world, that the impossible was possible. He convinced people that an African American could be elected president of the United States. So the idea that he can't get through health care reform seems very simple in comparison. But the reality is that health care is extremely complicated to pass in the United States. There's so much money involved that he had a very high and ambitious plan, but it was probably never going to be possible, certainly not in the way that he described it when he was running for office.
But David Axelrod in the campaign, or rather David Axelrod, the White House's chief advisor, the president's advisor, said in the talk shows that you just heard in that report that what the president promised is what he's delivering, that they're proposing something that adheres to the key principles that the president laid out in his 2008 campaign.
What David Axelrod said is equivalent to Barack Obama promising apple pie to the United States. He came back with cherry pie and said, look, I still brought you a pie, you should be happy. What Barack Obama promised when he was running for office is he was going to lower health care costs and he was going to increase the coverage to Americans who aren't being covered. More Americans are being covered, but there's very little in the current compromise bill that's actually going to lower costs. That's what's disrupting the American economy. That's what's making many Americans bankrupt, and that's why many on the left are extremely unhappy with what little he's managed to accomplish so far.
All right, Jason Johnson joining us from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you.